Welcome back to Ask Allison. So we are going to do part 2 of what are some social media do's and don'ts. Today we're going to focus on the don'ts. Yesterday we focused on the do's, so you can check those out if you need to. Here's where we're going to start. Don't just post when you want to. You need an actual strategy. Posting when you want to sounds great if you're like really active, but most of us, when we start using social media for business, especially if we don't have a strategy, are not posting the kinds of things that are going to bring in our ideal clients or even our ideal referral sources, unless we're actually being very intentional about it. So I'm going to encourage you to be intentional. I'm going to encourage you to create a strategy. You don't have to start fresh. We've got strategies that we talk about in the Abundance Party, which is over at abundanceparty.com. Okay. Another don't is do not put, if you're using Instagram as your social media platform, do not put a link in your caption or your comment. Nobody can click on that. You need to have your link in the bio. You can do a link tree, or you can link it back to a website just for your Instagram, or a web page just for your Instagram. But the problem with putting it in there is you're making it hard for people. People can't copy and paste on their phone and then pop it in their browser. So just say link in bio. Nobody's going to sit there and like tippity type out like bit.ly/blah, blah, blah. Nobody's doing that. Put the link in your bio. Third, don't half-ass it. I hope it's okay with this being sponsored by TherapyNotes. Thanks, TherapyNotes, that I just used the A word. Don't half-butt it. If this is going to be one of your 5 marketing strategies, I always recommend no more than 5. If this is going to be one of your 5 marketing strategies, for goodness sakes, do it. Do it wholeheartedly. Have a strategy. Have it in your schedule so that you know when you're responding to comments, you know when you are building your audience, you know when you're creating content. The fourth don't is don't be boring. And this happens sometimes whether we are strategizing or not. You have to vet all of this. Like I said in the do's, vet it all through your ideal client. Is this something they care about? They care an interesting amount about like you, which we're going to talk about in a second, but they really don't care about the food you're eating probably. Unless maybe you're an eating disorder therapist and you're trying to diminish the fear around a particular food, or maybe you have a story that goes along with a particular food that will bring it back to your audience. But much of what's out there, and I just want you to scroll Instagram, much of what's out there is pretty boring. So you have to stand out and be not boring. The last don't is don't hide who you are. Don't be afraid to get personal. We had a great, Jim Christmas did a great podcast episode on the Abundant Practice podcast about this. It doesn't mean you abandon all boundaries, for goodness sakes. Like if you don't want your kids on your work Instagram, please don't put them on there. But it does mean you show up as a human being. And an example of that, somebody in the party said, I really don't know what to post that's personal on my Instagram. I work with parents and do some like parent coaching, but I don't have my own kids. But I've got a cute dog, but my dog just lays around. And I was like, well, take a picture of your laying around dog and talk about how important sleep is and how tough it is if your kid's not getting enough sleep, and maybe throw some tips out there that are actionable and helpful, that kind of thing. So you don't have to be like, when I was 6, this awful thing happened to me, or I'm currently struggling with my own anxiety. We don't have to do that necessarily. I don't think that it's necessarily bad or wrong, but I know when people worry about boundaries on social media, those are the kinds of things they're often worrying about. But you need to be very thoughtful about what you're posting, how it's going to land for your ideal clients and your ideal referral sources. And also if you're going to have a vulnerability hangover about it later, and if that's going to be worth it or not. That's what I got for you. As I mentioned, abundanceparty.com has a lot of helpful resources, but many of those resources include how to do social media effectively. And if you have a question for Ask Allison, please shoot us an email over at ask@abundancepracticebuilding.com. Thanks.